Hello, my dear students, and welcome once again. And you can see the topic on your screen. It's living and non-living. It's a very interesting topic and very easy also. Just pay attention whatever I'm going to tell you, and the things will be very much clear to you. So let's start the chapter living. Living का मतलब क्या होता है? Means इसमें जान होती है. And non-living इसमें जान नहीं होती. In simple words, living things are the thing which is made by God, and non-living things are made by man. Okay, now shall we start? So, first of all, I would be telling you about living things characteristic. What are the different characteristics of a living thing? So let's start. All living things have some common characteristics that are not present in non-living things. Okay, first is structural organization. Okay, all living things are made up of cells. A cell can be defined as the smallest living entity which can function independently. There are many types of cells present in a living organism. A group of similar cells form tissues. These tissues perform different functions. When a group of tissues performing the same function come together, they form an organ. Organs perform the specific function from the body of a living thing. A structured organization of different organs form an organ system. You can see in this diagram also, this is the cell, which is the smallest living independent unit. Now, when the same kinds of cells combine, they form a tissue. Okay. Then, what is an organ? When the tissues start performing some functions. Okay, same function, it forms an organ. Okay. And after an organ, a structured organization of different organs, they form an organ system. Okay. Then organ system perform important functions that are required by an organism. Organism means living organism to sustain life. That is respiratory system, circulatory system, nervous system. Okay. Digestive system. So these are all the different systems which are different organ of all the organ system are doing. Okay. An organism can be made up of a single cell or many cells. Organism made up of a single cell are called single cell organism. Example, paramecium and amoeba. Organism which are made up of more than one cell are called multicellular organism. Example, human beings, animals, plants. Okay. Now, moving to the next one. Movement. Okay. All the living things move. Okay. How do they move? Why do they move? As I told you, living things move in search of food, shelter. Okay. Now, another important characteristic of living organism is the ability to move. A living thing can move from one place to another. I'm living, I can move. You are living, you can move. You have a pet at home, they all must be moving. But the non-living things, they cannot move. If I talk about the book which you must have in your right now, in front of you, it cannot move on its own because it's a non-living thing. Okay. All animals move from one place to another in search of food and water. They move to a safer place where they feel threatened. Sorry, when they feel threatened. Some plants are living things, but they do not move from one place to another. However, they do show response to stimulus created by certain change in the surrounding. A stimulus can be defined as a change in the immediate environment of an organism which produces a response in the activities of that organism. The reaction of that organism to such a change is called a response. Plants, they do not move, but still many of them respond. Okay, they do not move from its place, but they respond to stimulus. And what is stimulus? It's a sudden, you can say immediate, it's a sudden change in the environment. Okay. Shoots and roots of plants are stimulated by sun and gravity, respectively. Shoots grow up towards the light and roots towards the gravity. The plant is there. Plant has two parts, the root and the shoot. The root is it's below the ground, and shoot system is above the ground. Okay. The root, they start going inside towards the gravity, and the shoot, it starts going towards the sun. Okay. Thus, light and gravity are the stimulus for the growth of plants. Fine, children? Another example of stimulus is the touch me not plant. The leaves of this plant curl up when touched. You must have seen touch me not. जिसे बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में छुई मुई का plant. The moment you touch it, the leaves will close. Okay. Now, moving to the next one. These are the different activities in which they have told you how the plant responds to sunlight. You can just go through them. In the second activity, it has been, they have shown to show response of plants shoot and the root towards the earth gravity. Just you can go through them. There's nothing much to it for me to explain in just. You will, the moment you will read, you will understand. Okay. Then growth. This is very important. Okay. Growth is another important characteristic of living things. All living things grow. A child grows to become an adult, kitten grows and becomes a cat, a seedlings grow and becomes a plant. All the living things grow. Okay, if I talk about a child will grow and one day he will become an adult. Kitten, a baby kitten will grow and turn into a cat. Okay, a seed will grow and turn into a big plant. Okay, so all the living organisms, all the living things, they grow. Okay. Now the next one, respiration. Okay, again, this is a very important topic, respiration. Respiration is a process by which all living organisms use oxygen present in air to release energy from the food they eat. The process is, this energy is utilized by them to carry out activities necessary to survive. Animals respire by breathing. They inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. All the living organisms, what are they doing? If I talk about myself, I'm taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. Okay. The inhaled oxygen is utilized by the process of respiration for relief of energy from the food they consume. Carbon dioxide released by animals is utilized by plants through a process called photosynthesis for making their food in the presence of sunlight. Children, you must have seen this plants, they're making their own food. We do not provide them food, but plants, they make their own, okay, with the help of sunlight. And the process by which they make their own food is known as photosynthesis. So what is happening? They're taking all the carbon dioxide which is in the air, which we have explained out. They're using that, okay? And what is happening during this process when they take in carbon dioxide, they are releasing out oxygen, which we are using for breathing. Okay. So respiration is a vital process for all living organisms as it provides them energy for sustenance. Okay. Now, again, this is an activity. You can just go through them to show that that exhaled air is rich in carbon dioxide. Okay, just go through them. Then feeding. Oh, food is one of the basic requirement of all living things. All animals need food, which they derive from plants or other animals. Green plants make their own food. Hence, green plants are called producers or autotrophs, and animals are called consumers or heterotrophs. Okay, this is also quite simple. All the living organisms, they need food. Without food, you cannot carry out any of the activity. Okay, so what is the plants? They are making their own food. They are known as producers. Okay, or the nutrition mode is called autotrophic nutrition. And if I talk about human beings and plants, animals, we are consumers. So we are known as heterotrophs. Okay. Now, excretion, the food which we have eaten has to be taken out also. The waste food has to come out from the body. Okay. So excretion is the process of removal of waste products from the body. The process is essential as it helps in removal of toxic materials from the body of living organisms. Animals remove waste from their bodies in three forms. That is solid, that is faces. Solid form means the faces there. Then in liquid form, it is urine, and gas, that is carbon dioxide. These are the three different methods by which all the waste come out from the body. Okay. Now moving to the next one. Reproduction. Okay. The next is reproduction, as you can see on your screens also. Okay. Okay. The problem is there. Let me solve it out. In the meantime, you can just read also. Children, I told you reading is very important. You should read. You should be in a habit of reading. Okay. So let's start now. All living things reproduce more of their own kind. Animals and plants have different methods of reproduction. Animals give birth to young ones or lay eggs, whereas plants reproduce mostly through the seed or other plant parts. Okay, every living organism they reproduce. Okay, and what is the meaning of reproduce? Sorry, uh, there are different ways of by which a plant reproduces or an animal reproduces. Animals either they lay eggs or they give birth. Okay, but on the other hand, if I talk about plants, they or how do they reproduce? Through their different parts of the plant or through seeds. Okay, now death. Whatever is born on this earth, जो भी इस earth पर पैदा हुआ है, वो मरना है. So we talk about now death. All living things grow, reproduce, get old, and then they die. This is a cyclic process and it's called one life cycle. Okay, you're born, then you become adult, then you become old, and finally you die. For example, when a child is born, it grows into an adult. Give birth to a child, grows, and then dies. So this is different lifespans have been given over you. You can just go through them. Bacteria is there. The lifespan is only 20 minutes. Then tortoise, they have a lifespan of 120 to 150 years. Okay. I think this is the maximum one. Lion, they live for 20 to 25 years. Elephant have an age of 70 to 79 years. 70 to 90 years. Mouse for 2-3 years. House by 1 to 4 months. Human beings, 60 to 80. Then dogs, they live either for the maximum is 40 and minimum is 12. Okay, now we are going to talk about environment. Okay. Next topic is environment. Environment can be defined as the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. Environment affects the growth and development of organisms that live in it. Both living and non-living things together form an environment. The living components are called biotic components and non-living things are called abiotic components. Children, if I talk about environment, both living and non-living things, they together form an environment. The living things, okay, like plants, animals, they form biotic factors. They are known as biotic components. Biotic means which have life. Animals have life, plants have life. Okay, if I talk about abiotic, that means which do not have life. Biotic are non-living and biotic on the other hand is living. Okay, now we start with biotic components. The components of the environment which have life are called biotic components. The biotic components of our environment. Plants, animals, scavengers, and decomposers. Okay. Now, moving to the next one. Our next page. First, we'll talk about plants. Okay. Children, you must have seen a lot of plants are there around us. Plants may be small, big. Okay, different types of plants are there. Okay. Plants are an important part of the environment. They are the producers and all living things are dependent on them for their food. The leaves of the plants are green as they have a green pigment called chlorophyll. Chloro means green and phyll means leaf. It is because of the presence of the chlorophyll that green plants are able to make their own food. This chlorophyll provides the site whereas the process of photosynthesis takes place. Children, the green color is there in the leaf, in the plant, that is known as chlorophyll, which helps in the absorption of sunlight. Okay, they absorb sunlight and after that, the process of making food starts in the leaf of the plant. Okay. Now, the next one is animals. These are all the biotic factors. Okay. Now we'll move to animals. Animals, as we all know, cannot make their own food and are dependent on plants and other animals for their nutrition. For this same reason, animals are called heterotroph. Plants can they make their food, but animals cannot make their own food. They are dependent on other plants or other animals for their food. Okay, so animals as well as plants grow, and for their proper growth, they need nutrients. Plants derive the nutrients from the environment when they make their food. Animals get these nutrients either from plants or other animals on which they feed. Okay, now we'll talk about scavengers and decomposers. The organisms that feed on dead plants and animals are known as scavengers and decomposers. Animals which feed on the body of dead animals are called scavengers. Okay. Animals die. There's a lot of animals which are dying. In the forest, there's so many animals die. What happened? No one is burying them up. So what happens? Scavengers are there. These are the animals which feed on the dead animals. Okay. So these are the organisms which feed on dead plants and animals such that they decompose the bodies are called. Now, scavengers, they have eaten now the organisms which feed on dead plants and animals such that they decompose the bodies are called decomposers. Decomposing means breaking down or rotting of an object into simpler substances. Okay. Now the next one, we'll talk about abiotic components. Just now I've told you about biotic. Biotic included plants, animals, scavengers, and decomposers. Now we'll start with abiotic components. Abiotic means non-living. Okay. Abiotic components of environment are air, water, soil, light, and temperature. First, we'll talk about air. Air is it's all present around us. It is present all around us. The main component of air are nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Air also has some moisture content in it. Oxygen is vital for survival of plants and animals. Green plants use carbon dioxide and water present in the air to manufacture their food. Air also plays a vital role in reproduction of plants by a process called pollination. Air is there, you cannot see air. Okay, you just can just feel air. Air has got many gases. Okay, and oxygen is a very important gas which is present in the air due to which all the living organisms they are able to. Okay, now the next one is water. Children, you can live without food, but to live without water is very, very hard. Okay, you can live without food for a few days, but if I talk about living without water, one day you will be able to live on the second day, but eventually you will die if there's no water. So water is very important for us. Okay, so water, another biotic component of our environment, is very important for living organisms. Water is absorbed by the roots of the plant and is transported to all the parts of the plant. Also transports the food manufactured and leaves to all other parts. In such a case in case of animals, the water is essential for the survival. Approximately 70% of body of human being is made up of water. Okay. Water also has some oxygen and carbon dioxide dissolved in it. This is the reason why plants and animals are able to survive with water. Okay. Now the next one. Okay. Soil. This is also another abiotic component. Okay. Now, the uppermost layer of the Earth's crust is called soil. The सबसे ऊपर वाला layer होता है ना Earth, we call it soil. It provides a base for plants to grow. It is very rich in important minerals such as potassium and magnesium. Okay. Now, the next one is light. Light is provided by the sun. This light is used by plants to prepare their food. Animals also need light to be able to see the things around them. No light you cannot see. Okay, so sun is our main form of light. Okay, now there are different activities which they have shown to show that light is stimulus to animals. You can just go through them. There's nothing much to explain over here. Now the next is temperature. What is temperature, children? Temperature plays an important part in survival of living things. Temperature is the measurement of, it's a measurement of how cold or hot an thing is. Okay. Coldness or hotness of an object. Life is possible on the earth only because it has a suitable temperature that supports living organisms. In case the earth would have been a very hot place, we would not be able to live. Or it would have the temperature of the earth was quite low, then also the life is not possible. It is due to the proper suitable temperature that life sustains on earth. Okay. Now, the next one, what is habitat? Okay. You can see on your screens now, the next topic is habitat. Okay. A habitat can be defined as the environment area where a particular species of plants and animals or any other organism live naturally. A habitat comprises of both biotic and abiotic components. A habitat comprises a biotic community. A biotic community can be defined as a group of plants and animals which stay together and depend on each other for a healthy survival. Habitat means a place when it can be defined as the environment area where a particular species of plant and animal they start going naturally, they start living naturally. Okay, and all the things it habited. Okay, they are dependent upon each other. Okay, now the next one. I think we have ended the chapter now. You can just go through the chapter once again. Okay. In case I told you in the beginning only, the more you will read, the more you know. So it's my request to you all to kindly work the chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.